Hi, everybody. Welcome to Astrology Unplugged. It's nice to have you tonight. We're going to be doing some interesting work with Neptune. Nice to have you recently, especially if you're coming across from YouTube. Some people do better by sitting here with the group. Other people like to watch the videos replayed at their own pace, whatever. But I've been focusing a lot on Neptune recently, and we're going to do it again tonight because I wanted to show you. I didn't think I really got it across yet about how certain people are so Neptunian you would not classify them thusly. You're not sure what that means. What does Neptunian mean? It's a hard energy to explain. And I've got some really good examples. I'm going to go through those examples very quickly, then go through each of your charts to show you whether your Neptune is particularly strong or weak. What I wanted to show you, first of all, in my documents, my list that I teach from when I teach about the planets is I teach you with the sun, moon, etc., etc., etc. Really, when you're watching, I can't even see myself on the screen. When you're really watching the planets move around, these first five don't really do a whole lot. They're very important in the natal chart, but they don't do a lot by transit. Even Jupiter and Saturn can do so much, so much. Saturn has a good deal to do with your daily life. How does your life shape up? Who are you working for? What kind of job are you doing? It's especially strong when you have been irresponsible. It gets on your back to become more responsible. And it's a very good planet for you making sure that life is the way you want it to be. I'm going to try this again. There we go. There we go. But really, when you come to the big mamas, the ones that cause the big change, the one I focus on heavily are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. We're talking about three planets here. Now, Uranus is the one that makes you feel like you're coming out of your skin, and you kind of are, and you want to get excited again, and you want to break free of the old static modes, and you want to try something new. That's what Uranus does when it goes over us. Pluto, we talked about endlessly. And did you know Pluto is on its way back into Capricorn now, and it won't go back into Aquarius until January. So January coming up, 24, is when Pluto really enters Aquarius and stays for 20 years. Okay? So Pluto's playing with us now by going back and forth between two signs. It's trying to allow you to have time to wrap up loose ends in Pluto and Capricorn. And it's going to go back into Aquarius in January. But this one really sticks out. Neptune. Number one, let's talk about this. People don't talk about it. They don't talk about Neptune. Number one, they don't understand Neptune. Number two, Neptune's a very difficult. I need to turn these mics off. They don't understand what Neptune does, what it doesn't do, what is it really up to. Well, it's a very difficult planet. And by showing you a bunch of people that are celebrities with very strong Neptunes, you will see what I mean. It always brings the personality, a refinement, like listening to Johnny Mathis sing. There's a refinement to the art, to the sport, refined, very special. And you ask yourself, my God, how did they do that? And by the way, I was wrong last week. I was telling you about Simone Biles. Simone is not a Virgo. It's just that she's got Mars and Virgo high in the chart. Simone is a Pisces. So I was telling you about Simone with her Neptune transit and her backing out of the finals in the gold medal race in the recent Olympics. but she is Piscean. So since she's Piscean, and since Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, she's particularly tuned to what Neptune does. So she has like a head start in understanding it. Now, we're going to get into a bunch of people here, including all of you. What Neptune does is it refines you. I can't explain to you, but you've all got all of these energies in you. You got Mars in you, might be real loud, might be real quiet. You've got Saturn in you, might be loud and oppressive, it might be kind of subdued. You got all the energies in you. And when transits go by, what came over me, when transits go by you, these planets come up through us. So best way of putting it, they come up through us like a plant shoot. And they vie for our attention. It's a part of us that says, I want to take over for a while now. I've been letting you talk. Now it's time for me. Because your insides know what they need to do, even if you got Uranus and Neptune coming through at the same time. Your inside is wise. It is guided by the Holy Spirit. It knows what to do. But the Neptune part of you is the part that wants to get away. It's a part that's very hypersensitive. It gets its feelings very hurt. It wants to go be by itself, even to the point of moping. Just leave me alone. And I told you about the signs having one thing that they do. The one thing that Pisces, what I have found, here comes Rick Kempe, what Pisces love to do, Pisces love to be left alone. They love to be left alone. It's not because they're unfriendly. It's just that they pick up so much stuff from other people. And it's not their stuff, it's the other person's stuff. And they have a hard time letting go of the stuff, getting rid of the stuff. And it can be very harmful to Pisces to pick up too much stuff from others. So Pisces is always very good. And a lot of parents get very worried because their Pisces kid want to spend a lot of time in their closet with their coloring book or their flashlight and their baseball cards. And it's very, very Piscean. Just leave them alone. Now, if it goes on for year after year after year, then you need to get into it. You do need to keep an eye on Pisces people to see whether they're socializing properly, because that can definitely be a downfall later in life if they don't learn to socialize at an early stage. But on a lot of stages, you'll see where Pisces is geared towards being an artist. They're geared towards being a musician. Then they can talk with their art easel. Then they can talk with their saxophone. They're not really meant to talk to other people. They're meant to talk to the leaves on the trees. They're meant to talk to the dolphins in the ocean. This is why they're very, very pure people. And the reason for that is they don't want language to get in the middle. To them and a dolphin or them and a tree, they understand the language. It's how you feel. Non-Pisces aren't about that. Non-Pisces are about that, blah, 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 blah. What words did you say? Blah, 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 blah. What did you mean by that? Blah, 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 blah. Pisces can't stand it. For the most part. They're gentle souls. They're usually very loving. They're tired of trying to explain to other people what or how they are doing things, because they don't do things the way other people do. They just go with the flow of stuff. They go with the flow of stuff. That is Pisces. Go with the flow. But there's a difference between going with this is really important. There's a difference between going with the flow and escaping. Big, big, big difference. And a lot of Pisces get in a lot of trouble when they're trying to escape because they conquer it. They finally find a way to escape, but oftentimes it's through drugs, it's through alcohol, it's through a messed up relationship, it's through codependency, it's whatever, and they end up tilting somewhat. So we definitely need to help the Pisces get a better self-conception. And this is because they're ruled by Neptune. And Neptune is a planet that does not support being a person. Neptune does not support you being a separate individual. You listen to almost everything that you heard Christ say to you. That was Neptune talking. When he gives you these kind of parables that are self but non-self, that's Neptune's kind of complexity, etc. So I'm going to show you a lot of people, show you just a little flash of their Neptune, and you'll see what I mean. And oftentimes these people are famous for other planets in their chart, but I want to show you how the Neptune really sticks out. And the Neptune is the part that's got you connected to God. I don't know how else to say it. It's the part that's got you connected to the Holy Spirit. It's the part that you can hear it. You know what they're saying. You know what they mean. And that's one reason Neptune people don't like to talk. They like to sense. They like to sense what it's like to walk down this path with these trees talking to them. They don't care if you think they're nuts or not, because they're not nuts. Never underestimate a Pisces, because they're tuned into worlds that we're not tuned into because we're busy thinking. We're busy thinking and trying to make advantages by doing thinking and grabbing and controlling. And those are all illusions. Pisces is about letting go, letting it flow. Now, when I envisioned Christ, I keep seeing the vision of him looking at you, and he's got his hands out like this. You've seen the statues. He's kind of saying, here it is. It's all in front of you. Here it all is. I don't know exactly what he was saying, but I think you get the message from just looking at his hands. And his hands are kind of saying, it's all here. It's right in front of you. God is always with you. Relax. That's what I get from Neptune. So the following people, I think you'll find have very, very strong Neptunes. Here's John Anderson. You may not know him by his name. He's the lead singer of the band all these years for the band Yes. And I've seen all good people's the really high-pitched, pure soul. It's like he's reaching up to the heavens. All his lyrics are written about taking ships into outer space, and he's reaching out for God to come help us with his manifestations. He's very, very pure, very, his voice has got that Scorpio purity, but there you see, right across the ascendant, the powerful Neptune, right opposite Eris, right across the ascendant. This is where he gets his power from. And that's Saturn up there in Cancer. That doesn't hurt things. That probably helps him get formation. He definitely has somewhat of a gravelly kind of voice, but he's just got this beautiful quality when he's singing about the dolphins or the whales. He's just got this very pure voice. Let's go through them all. Frank Sinatra. You heard of that guy. Well, you ask people, why was Sinatra so big? Ask that old generation. They'll all use one word, and it's not on your screen yet. They'll all use one word with you, even though he was kind of a funky Sagittarian in some ways, but they'll all use the word smooth. Look at the top of his chart. Neptune at the top. Where Neptune is, you are effortless. It comes out of you effortlessly. You're not in front of the mirror trying to get that note to sound right. It's just effortless. And the reason it's effortless is because you got that God part connected inside. Yeah, I know he was involved with the gangsters and all that. He did a lot of on tour type things, and he was rough and tough in some ways. But this was a smooth character. A smooth character brought on by the powerful Neptune placement because it's right on the angle, the four angles, the ascendant, the descendant, the midheaven, the nadir. When any planet is near one of those four, the planet is greatly amplified. So he has great amounts of Pisces energy, even though he's a Sagittarian. Okay, this is where it comes from. McCartney. Okay, we see McCartney has this incredible Gemini capacity to keep changing songs and this incredible Leonine capacity to vocalize and sing these harmonies, etc., etc. But look what's rising. Look what's rising. Neptune's rising 27 degrees, 2 degrees away. The Neptune, like it or not, there is a very heavenly part to McCartney's singing. It's not just boyish Gemini. Maxwell Silver, hammer came down upon it. It's not just all that playful Gemini. He's got a beautiful, the long and winding road. Hey Jude. I mean, these are very ethereal songs that move the masses. That's where he gets it from. Combined with all his other stuff is on his ascendant. It's why all the ones I picked for you tonight are people with very strong Neptune placements. Here's Hendrix. Look at Hendrix. You knew you couldn't get away from me without Hendrix because he is the man. Let's see what we can do here. Hendrix has Neptune. He's a Sag, and he gets his electricity from the sun opposite Uranus. That's the sparkle. And the moon, Pluto. But the Neptune high in the sky. Look at the planet highest in your chart, squaring the ascendant. He's got a T-square to Chiron and Leo, but he's got Neptune really high in the chart. And even if you listen to his lyrics, he's talking to space people. He's talking to people that are not incarnated. He's talking, these lyrics are talking to people that are disembodied. I mean, I don't think he even knew what he's talking to, but you can hear it. You can hear that he's there. He's telling you about it, and he's playing like he's there. And the people try to imitate his finger techniques, and they get the same techniques, but it's not the same sound. And the reason it's not the same sound is because he is there. He is there. He's playing from there. He's letting you in. He's letting you in on a little secret about what it sounds like when you're there. That's the difference, in my opinion. Now let's move on. I got Rick Kempy. I got him smiling, so I know I'm doing pretty good. All right. Now look at Dylan. My God. Look at Bob Dylan. I got all these buttons I got to hit. This ain't going to shock you at all. The genius himself, the genius. Look at this cluster of planets in Taurus and Gemini. Look at Neptune. Why do you think he's such a pain in the ass when he gets these down-to-earth idiot interviewers asking him stupid questions about how did you make this song? How did you make that song? He'll tell me put a nickel on the machine and he turned the knob. He messes with him. He's a Gemini messing with him. He knows it just comes to you. It just comes through you. He says in his interviews, he says, I don't have any idea how I did like a Rolling Stone. He says, I remember being there. I remember being there when that happened. I just saw his interview recently. He doesn't take any ownership of it like the greats do. The greats don't. I remember being there when that came through. I don't have to tell Susan this, or all of you in your different arts. In your different arts, you all have these experiences of God working through you in the different manners. But look at his chart. There's an authority to Dylan. When Dylan tells you the world is this way, you don't argue with him. I don't. Yeah, you're right. That's how it is. Okay, let's move on. Eva Cassidy, as you know, one of my real favorites. Talked a lot about her on this show. The cancer who died from skin cancer. Heavenly angel. Sounds just like an angel when she sings, when she sang. Here's the sun, Saturn, same degree. Look at the Neptune. See the T square to Neptune? Sun, Saturn, opposite Mars, everything expressed through Neptune in Scorpio. And some people say that the 15th degree of Scorpio is the strongest degree of the zodiac. I've heard that said many times. I'm not sure if that's true, but that is said. But it's so Neptune is so strong because it squares the sun. That's what gives you hear all these notes and stuff, but that part where you just feel like you're going to just drift up the clouds with her and just meet her up there somewhere. Just, you don't want to talk about it. You're like breathless. Can't even put it into words. That's the Neptune. That's why these artists like Joni Mitchell, that's why Dylan, that's why they want to be left alone. Because all you're going to do is mess it up. Hey, put it in a package, put red tape around it. Can you sign my name on it? What about my grandkids' name? Put their name on it. You know, blah, 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 blah. And that's one reason she left us early. She didn't want to be around. She didn't want to do all this stuff. She wanted to sing her song. She was in love with singing. Beautiful chart. Let me move on. Leonard Cohen, my God. If you read his life story, the man was such a hardworking Virgo and such a wonderful poet. His poetry mainly came from the Neptune Venus placement here, same degree, opposite the moon. It came opposite the moon in Pisces. It came from this here. And this was his power, was the sun opposite Eris right there. But the Neptune is really, really strong. And then we go to the beauty of Audrey Hepburn, I told you about last week. And Audrey Hepburn, what I got to tell you, Neptune's right on the angle. She's a Taurus. And Neptune is opposite heavenly moon in Pisces. Moon in Pisces, opposite Neptune. I mean, you just don't get any more heavenly than that. And the T-square coming down to Mercury and Gemini and the 3 planets in Taurus gives her that childlike purity. But this is where that dreamy, that dreamy, untouchable purity comes from. You guys getting the idea? Okay, I think so. Ksenia Moore, you've seen the wonderful Australian astrologer. She's been on the show 2-3 times. She is a Leo. Look at her Neptune. She comes across as she's so beautiful and she's so giving and loving and she's so pleasant and it's very effortless. You've seen her on this show and she's really intelligent and she works hard and she has broad knowledge. A lot of that comes from the Sagittarius that's in her chart with Jupiter rising. But the Neptune is, when Neptune's up at the top like that, it's calling you. That's all I can tell you. It's calling you. A lot of people go to the missionary. A lot of people go to the ashram. Dad, I can't follow you with your shoe store industry. I've got to go to India. What are you crazy? All this work all my life? No, I'm not crazy. I got a calling. That's Neptune, either by natal or by transit. Buddha, Gandhi, all the charts. Really powerful Neptunes. Auguste Renoir. My God, is there anybody whose work represented Neptune more than Renoir? Right? I'll wake you painters up. Look at the Neptune rising. Yeah, he is a Pisces, and he's got the Mercury Uranus in Pisces, and he's got Eris coming behind it, right behind it. But look at the Neptune rising. I was reading about Impressionism. That's really what Impressionism is to paint it like it's not there, but it is there. Paint it like it is there, but it's not there. Right? You feel it's there. I can't see it. I do see it, but you don't see it. I do see it. I mean, that's the way Neptune plays with you. It's kind of, they're trying to tell us that's how life is. Life's kind of there, but it ain't there. You know what I mean. Beautiful example, Renoir. Okay, let's keep moving down the page. Aretha Franklin. I had to touch on her because look at this powerful, potent singer. What did Franklin have? Okay, look here. She was a powerful Aries, Sun opposite Neptune. Look at that Neptune all by itself. In this case, Neptune's by itself. That's why it's strong. Neptune's over there opposite that Sun. And oh, by the way, you young astrologers, the Sun is next to Eris at the same degree. Oh, I don't think I'll put Eris on my charts. Eris ain't doing nothing. Where do you think that power came from? Sun, Eris, opposite Neptune. Moving along. Streisand. Look at the power of her singing. Neptune opposite Eris. Again, across the ascendant. Even with playful Jupiter, Mars, and Gemini, even though she's a solid Taurus, she got 3 powerful planets in Leo. But the Neptune is the purity. The Neptune in these people's charts is the part when they're singing and you do this with your friend. Shut up. And you want to float away with them. There's only one way you could float away, is to allow the waves to let you float. That's all I know of. You can have all these techniques. I'm floating, I'm floating, I'm floating. They don't work. There is no technique. It's allowing. Oh, Lillian. Lillian came right in. She says, I'm on the air once again with these guys, and I'm all black, and I love it, and I think I'll float some in here. So let's get to the end here. Look at Stevie Wonder. I'm trying to get through all these. Okay, Stevie Wonder. Look at the Neptune rising. Opposite the moon, opposite Venus, opposite Eris. What do you think the two emotional planets are? Right there. Moon and Venus. Right opposite Neptune. You got the power being in Aries, but you got the receptivity of the Neptune. Let me take a moment. Okay, Susan, let's get you unmuted and we'll take a look at your chart.
There I am.
I'm trying to find your chart.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, here you are. Now I got to get it on your screen. It really is complicated.
Thank you.
Still giving me a hard time. Here we go. Susan's chart. All right. Now, I haven't seen your chart in a long time. I'm not going to spend a long time on each chart, but I want to show you what's important. When a planet is on the angle, on the angle, on an angle, on an angle, or if it's a right angle to it, Neptune is so important because it's the ruling planet of Pisces. Uranus rules Aquarius. Mars rules Aries. When you have these planets, they're very similar as the sign that they rule. So when you're strongly Neptunian, you're also very strongly Piscean. And it just happens to be that Susan is a Pisces. She's Sun, Venus, Mercury, and she's got Pisces at the top. But look at her Neptune. It's at 7. It's square to that ascendant. And Neptune is opposite her 10th house Eris. Now, what this means is, I'm going to break a lot of complex stuff, make it simple for you. Pisces people are in things because they love it. They're in things because they love you. Period. Other people talk about the bottom line, making more money. It's not what Pisces is. Pisces doing it because they love it. They love you. They love people. And that's why she's spreading the knowledge. She got all that 10th house activity. So she is a leader. She's giving out spirit all the time. She's giving you connections to the spirit world. When she's helping you with your healing, she's helping you to connect to another world that has other vibrations that are more refined.
Yeah.
We love you, Susan. Thank you. That's all you need to know. Your Neptune is very strong.
Thank you.
Yes, we're going to go Mr. Sean here. Get Mr. Sean to unglue himself, unplug himself. Okay, let's take a look at Sean's chart. See, on my wall, I have to put it on, take it off, and put it on again so that you can see it, which is why I keep a monitor. Okay, here's Sean's chart, and we can see that Sean is busy in this life, dragging this um, guard with him, this safety zone with him. He's being real careful. He's bringing Saturn with his moon. And what does Neptune have to say about it? Neptune doesn't want a Saturn chaperone coming along. I don't want a chaperone guarding my feelings all the time, but there's something that caused Sean, we talked about a few weeks ago in his past life, where he felt, not doesn't matter if it's true, he felt that he had misbehaved. He felt that he was being punished for misbehaving. He felt in this lifetime that he needed a chaperone to keep an eye on his emotions. I'm not saying it's true or false. I don't know, but he felt it, and that's why he did it. And what is the governor to that? What is the alleviator to that? Neptune. Neptune is the planet that's the complete opposite of a chaperone. Neptune, oh, just let it be. It's beautiful. Look at it. Just let it be. And Neptune is right next to Jupiter. Beautiful combination. So he's got a beautiful spiritual combination, and he's still dragging this chaperone along with it. And that's up to him when he wants to let go of it, when he's ready, whatever that means. But the Neptune is strong. It's not real strong because it only has a square to Eris, but it's strong enough because it's next to Jupiter, which means that Sean has a very big spiritual interest. So how do you follow a big spiritual interest when you're dragging yourself along with all your great spiritual interest and the chaperone? How? How do you do it, Sean?
What's your what's the chaperone? Like what you
I'm
saying?
going to sit between you and your dates in the back seat. We're going on a date, you two, but I'm sitting in between you two, keeping
I feel
an
like
eye on you.
I feel like it lives somewhere right here, man. Right
Yeah,
in
but
here.
you want to know something?
Hmm?
Let's talk about the IT that you just mentioned. This is very important. Tell me where it lives, Sean.
And me.
Where does it live?
And me.
What did you just say? It was up here?
Right.
Well,
In your
where is
mind.
it up? Where is it up there?
In your mind. That's what you're saying? It's in your mind.
Some people could say in the mind. Some
Okay.
people might say in the heart. Some people might say it's kind of a cautionary figure that you
In
don't
everything,
travel.
in every single thing I do, there's this
Right.
voice telling me,
When you took this lifetime, you brought it with you to make sure that it did that so you didn't get in trouble.
right. Every
Like
single
you, like you did in the last time. I don't know what you did in the last lifetime. You maybe didn't get in trouble, but you thought you did. This is my perception. But I do think that through working with us in this wonderful group, you're getting closer and closer to let it go. When you let go of the chaperone, what be? Ever been to a party without a chaperone?
right.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Marsh and I have. Now, they're very nice times where you let yourself go.
Right.
But you can only let yourself go once you've gained the trust of God or the trust of yourself or the trust of both. Right?
Okay.
All right, there's your story once again. Before I forget, I want to get into Linda's chart because I haven't seen her in a long time. Thank you, Sean. Linda, let's unmute you. I said I was going to go from the bottom up. But that's your story, Sean. And I will come back here and resolve it this way. You can make this whole story very simple because you just told me it lives there. As if it's a fly or a weed or a tissue or a leaf. It It has its own autonomy. It doesn't. There's no it out there, but one you keep sustaining, one you keep alive, one you keep breathing for, one you keep petting, one you keep feeding. It's understandable why it's there. There is no judgment. But the first trick to getting rid of it is to realize it's there and that you keep it there. True, false? Are you about this close to getting rid of it?
Definitely.
Okay. That's all we,
Can I ask one question?
ask anything you want.
You know, you say I have a chaperone, and we both agree that it's this thing, this, I said thing again, but it's myself or
Yeah, it feels like it. I understand.
telling me the right thing to do and showing. But my whole life, ever since I reached a certain age, I was like strictly doing the wrong thing. That's the biggest troublemaker you could
Well,
find.
yeah, but you know why?
Mm.
Tell me why. Tell me why you're in trouble all the time.
Because that thing was trying to make itself known or get me to recognize the.
Possibly.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What is more painful, getting reprimanded or doing the wrong thing?
Getting reprimanded, right?
So you may as well screw up.
Yeah.
It's more painful to be reprimanded. What I'm telling you is you're just fine the way you are, and you don't need it. So
Right.
your story of carrying your chaperone with you halfway through life and getting ready to let go of it, usually happens in the mid-60s. You're ready right now. This is a very normal story. Astrologically, ask Claudia. This is a very, ask Rick. This is a very normal story. And when we wish you luck at letting it go. And that's why I told you the name of a book. That's the brilliant book about how to let go. By the way, Nick, who wrote the book, is a very bad comedian. He used to be a comedian. He used to be a guitarist. He made a lot of albums, and he made the mistake. He made the mistake of putting a bunch of his jokes in the book. Don't read the jokes.
Okay.
The jokes are just awful. They're just terrible. But I love Nick, and he's wonderful, and the writing is astounding. He's astoundingly accurate. He tells you exactly how to do it, how not to do it, and why. And he's a Virgo, so he can't be wrong. Okay, we're coming down to Linda now. Miss Linda, say your name again for me, Azrahan. Azrahan. Linda. Ooh, Linda. Are you muted?
She's muted. Yeah. I can read her lips.
Oh, there.
Linda,
Okay.
let's look at your Neptune. You see that? In
I
the
sure
12th
do.
house, Neptune's home is in the 12th house. What is the most powerful part of the 12th house? The beginning. What is Neptune doing in the 12th house? In Virgo. It's there to remind you about leading a life of purity. This is somebody seeking purity, opposite the sun in Pisces. I don't need to say much more. We got a big bucket and the handle's Neptune. And that means 21 degrees Pisces, 21 degrees Virgo. What that means is recently Neptune has been in the opposite point. It's been over at 21 Pisces opposite that Neptune at 21 Virgo, and they've been opposing each other, which means that in your lifetime, Neptune has gone halfway around. And when that happens, I've seen a lot of it happen. You make tremendous spiritual growth. Like in the last 2-3 years, that's what's done. It's been Neptune. It ain't been your preacher. It ain't been your kids. It ain't been a TV show. It's the Neptune inside you that's insisting. And there's this part of you that's saying, I don't care what age you are. I don't care who you are around. But this is a very Piscean thing. It is time to stop being influenced by other people. Pisces are very gullible and they're very susceptible to being influenced by others because they don't like to fight. They don't like to argue. And they go, is that right? Is that right? Is that right? It must be right. It ain't right. No, they're not right. You're right. And that's what's happening to you. And that's a new feeling, isn't it? And the new Linda is telling you what?
Keep on going.
What else is it telling you?
I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, you do.
I just feel like I'm more important to myself than I've ever been before.
Exactly. And Neptune in Virgo wants to tell you and told you for a long time, you weren't doing this right. You weren't doing that right. You didn't do that right. You didn't do that right. And now it's saying, I don't want to hear you anymore. I do a lot of things right. And I'm very lovely. And I got a good heart. And people love me for who I am. So shut up. That's what the Neptune's saying.
Thanks.
Okay?
Thank you.
Don't for a minute think that this came from some chalkboard or this came from some book. This came straight from, I don't understand it. I don't understand how things come down to us through grace of God, through the Holy Spirit. I don't, but I know it is. You call it whatever you want. That's what I call it. And I say to you, with great certainty, that the reason it's been coming down to you recently is you've been asking for help. You knew you were close. You knew you were close to this release, but that's a really hard release to make because what that means is, oh, from now on, I get to make the decisions. Oh, I don't want that. It gets too hard. Oh, I don't want to make the decision. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. And you're at that point now where, F it. I'm going to make the decision because I know what I'm doing, because I can feel that it's right. Period. Applause for Linda. Yay! I think it's wonderful. Thank you, Linda. And I'm giving you what I feel is the God's truth. Now, okay, let's get on to the next one. All right, who's next here? Sean, Ray. Are you with us, Ray? I don't think
I am.
You are. Hello, Ray.
Hello.
Hi, honey. I didn't see you sneak in there.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, speak up for me. All right, I got Ray's Aquarian chart on the screen, the big bucket pattern to Saturn. Where's that Neptune? Oh, it's over there. What are you doing over there? Oh, you think you're going to hide over there in the lovely sign of Sagittarius, and you're going to square Jupiter? Ooh, what does that mean? I've been telling you all about that. 17 and 11. I've been telling you the last several months about Jupiter, Neptune, Jupiter, Neptune, Jupiter, Neptune. I would tell you how Jupiter and Neptune conjunctions are really good, strong spiritual symbols. How the square, you got to keep an eye on it. How the opposition, you got to keep an eye on it. Because what happens with the square and what happens with the Neptune is you have a tendency to lie to yourself, and even to the point of joining cults. It's the cult aspect. Now, I don't think you're going to join a cult, but I do think you have to watch it because Aquarians they have a tendency to not believe the down to earth anyway, and to go with the far out stuff to begin with. So with the Jupiter Neptune square, you just have to constantly watch it because you want the Jupiter Neptune combination that's there, even if it's square, but you don't want the negative aftermath of it. Does that make sense?
That it does, yeah.
What does that mean? That means
Because I can get
go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No.
Because I can get really kind of passionate and fixed-minded on things, and I want to be
Yeah.
the best about people and situations, but
It's called carried away, getting carried away by it.
sure.
Yeah, that's the Jupiter Neptune, and you're right. And you got that very strong Aquarian inside. They're very firm, and they know who they are, and they know who they aren't. So I think you're doing okay. So what we want to do is we want to zoom in on the orb. We got the square, but how big is that orb?
It's a little wide. It's tighter to the midheaven.
Okay, well, we see that. The Jupiter midheaven, 17 and 11. Okay, so it is 6 degrees. So it's not that tight. So that's good. Now, what happened when you were 6 in your spiritual life?
I was still climbing trees and
You were what? Climbing trees?
yep, playing with Legos, playing with dolls. I was quite angry about things at home, so I kind of did rely on escapism to
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. What
yeah,
did you do in terms of escapism versus going towards,
self-soothing.
well, versus self-soothing or going towards God?
Climbed a tree.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, climbed a tree.
What I'm
I
getting,
really have
what I sense about it is you got serious. You got serious about your spirituality, and at age 6, that's pretty young.
Well, there are some things that happened before then that kind of prompted that.
Well, we'd have to go into the past life to
Yeah,
see what
yeah.
really happened. But the Neptune is strong enough in the chart, and the Neptune is not your major planet in this life, so we don't have to look at it too closely in terms of the other planets. Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Okay, let's get back to it here. Susan, Sean, Ray, Claudia. Let's get Claudia on the hot seat. How are you, Claudia?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Look at the T square to Neptune. Look at the great big bucket. Everybody look at the handle of that bucket. Neptune in Sag in the 7th house. Hi, everybody. I'm happy. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to meet you. Hi, you're going to be glad to know me because I'm a delightful person. Hi. Right? Isn't that what that says? Well,
That's one of the things, yeah, for sure.
well, I'm sure you're very good and you have a good sense of humor. What does that Neptune say to you?
It has said a lot of different things throughout my life. I've been confused a lot of my life.
Okay, all right. Who had
Yeah, but
Neptune square the moon by 1 degree?
yeah, it's definitely been a lot of confusion, and that's changed in the last, I don't know, maybe 5-7 years, where now I feel Linda said something that was so wonderful. It was perfect. She said, I've never felt more important to myself than I have now. And it's kind of giving myself just permission to be
That's right.
exactly who I am.
That's it.
And feeling very inspired. And I mean, right now Saturn is squaring it. But anyway, the Neptune is something that I've grown to love. And transiting Saturn is squaring that Neptune right now.
What is the transiting Saturn saying to it?
I want to sleep all the time.
Okay, that's true. But beside wanting to sleep, what is your Saturn saying to your Neptune? Because these are really wildly different planets.
Yes, they are.
What
They
is
really
Saturn
are.
saying? What is it saying?
What do I really want and let myself dream about that I secretly don't even allow myself to because I think, oh, it's too big. Also, more disciplined about my spiritual practices.
It's true. Saturn, the hard ass, is helping you get free. How in the world? How in the world can the books be wrong? Saturn, the hard ass, is helping you get unloaded.
I
That's
feel
not
it.
what
Yes.
Saturn does. Saturn's trying
Well,
to make sure it works, and your Neptune has not been working.
yeah.
Why
Yeah.
has your Neptune not been working?
I don't know.
Your Neptune is in a position where it could work incorrectly, and it's also in a position where it could work correctly. Incorrectly, it's becoming all things to everybody. Look, I'm so damn nice. Don't you like me no matter what? I ain't got to do nothing because I'm overcompensating with you all the time to make sure you love me. Neptune's getting corrected by Saturn because it realizes the self gets lost in that stuff. Saturn's correcting the Neptune to where Neptune's saying, look, I'm beautiful the way I am, just like Linda is. We're okay. What's the problem? There is no problem.
Yeah.
That's you. That's the you I've known for a couple years.
Yeah.
You're
I
much
do.
more confident.
Yeah. I had such a strong conversation with someone just a couple of nights ago, and I walked away with it going, oh my gosh, this is so Saturn squaring my Neptune, which is wonderful. Because
Exactly.
I told
Yeah.
this person,
But
listen, this is how I feel, and I need you to blah, blah, blah in a really nice way. I started crying, of course.
put a review on Amazon about how Saturn can be nice every now and then. See, it needs your help. Now, you're exactly right. Because that Neptune was put there after all these lifetimes. It worked for you. It worked for you. And now it's at the point where it doesn't work anymore. And Saturn, when it combines with Neptune, it gives the opposite type of energy a chance to self-correct.
Yes. Yes. It's great to look at Saturn through a different lens. And
Yes.
I'm so thankful that you have really brought that to us, because everyone's like,
I
Saturn
had to because
sucks."
I'm a double Capricorn and everybody's on my back all the time. How's your teeth?
My teeth?
How are your teeth?
My teeth are fine. My skin's
Good.
been going through a problem, but
Skin is very Saturnian.
yeah.
How
Yeah.
about your kneecaps?
I did feel the last few days like going down the stairs was not as easy, but it's been a lot of my skin. I've had skin issues. So I have the ruler of my chart conjunct Saturn in my natal chart. I feel like it's always been skin.
The reason skin's involved, Saturn, is protecting you from the outside world. Stay out,
Yeah.
don't harm me. trying to keep his inner barrier up. Okay, thank you, Claudia. That was really good.
Thank you.
Have fun, girl. Okay, let's get on with the show here. I'm trying to get to everybody. Elke's not here. Diane, Leslie, Susan A is here. Let's see how Susan A is doing. Let's get that on the screen. How are you, Susan A? You are muted.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's take a look at your Neptune. What's everybody see about her Neptune? Why is her Neptune so significant? Being an artist and a medium.
Where's her Jupiter and
Let's let Susan try first.
Oh, the grand trine between Neptune, Mars, and the moon.
That's secondary.
Secondary. Squaring the ascendant. Nah, that's not
That's
it.
secondary.
Neptune in the 8th house.
That's tertiary.
I can't hit first place.
The Neptune is at the tip of the T-square. The T-square, Jupiter, Uranus,
Oh, I see.
Chiron,
Yes, it is.
Neptune.
Yep, yep,
At the tip of the Grand Trine.
right.
You got the Grand Trine and the tip, Neptune there. So this is a big deal. And this is in the 8th house. This is why you talk to spirits.
Yeah. Well, it would
8th
be
house.
if they talked, it would be rude not to respond, right?
Well, I've never gotten them to talk back because I would run away. But for whatever reason, you've got Neptune there, and that's somebody who's very, very interested in the occult, into the afterlife, into the other side, whatever you want to call it. This Neptune's really, really powerful. And whenever that Neptune gets hit, it's a big deal. Let's go back in time.
Okay.
Let's go back in time. This one is so strong. Let's go back in time and see what happened when that Neptune got hit. I got so many boxes open. Okay, here's Uranus, 27. What's not Uranus? Look at Saturn.
Oh, by opposite.
1998. Saturn hit this point from opposite. Saturn hit that Neptune. What happened then?
I have to really think about that. 2003 is the 2002 was the divorce. 98.
You were 44.
Drawing a blank. I'm sure something, but I'm just
Oh
drawing a
yeah, I
blank.
guarantee it. It was Saturnian, so it wasn't easy, whatever it was. Let's see where Uranus is. Okay, let's go forward. Here's Uranus. Okay, let's get forward with, see Uranus down here moving. We got to get it to 27.
There. Yeah.
2017, 6 years ago, Uranus hit that Neptune.
Well, I would have been in Washington State at that point.
6 years ago?
Yep. Came back in 2018.
Okay, as you got a grand trine to that Neptune, as you got a T-square to that Neptune, and everything is dumping out into Neptune in the 8th house,
Okay.
it is saying to you, I will escape the tension, good or bad. I will escape the tension of this T square. I will escape even the tension of a grantron by going through Neptune in the 8th house. What does that mean? Neptune, when you're with other people, what does Neptune in the 8th house represent?
I'm assuming the occult.
Well, that's vague, yes, but it's true.
I mean, I've always been interested in astrology, in mediumship.
When you are with other people, what does Neptune in the 8th house represent to you? Why do you do it? Why do you put so much construction into everything going into Neptune in the 8th house? Why?
To
This
be
is
of service.
partially. Partially. What it tells me, without studying your,
Maybe just to ease the fear of death, do you think?
I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think it's all related. But what I'm getting from it, without studying all the harmonics, is you don't want to take another person at face value. When a person sits down, talks about their problem, you don't want to talk to them about their problems at this level. It's just not satisfactory to you. It's like me talking to him. I'm not going to talk to him about this level
No.
either. You're going to take him up to this other level, and we're going to talk about it.
You remember the TV show called House, where he
Vaguely,
was
yeah.
trying to explain to his, people he was training in medicine. He was saying why they shouldn't listen to what the patient says their symptoms are. He said,
That's
patients lies. Everybody
exactly right.
lies.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm telling you that 6 years ago, it seemed sudden, but you shifted this very quickly.
Well,
Very major.
I certainly came back to Ohio quickly.
Forget about where your body was. What happened to you? What happened to you? What happened to you 6 years ago with your talking with people in the relationships you're talking about?
I wasn't getting anywhere, getting new clients on the West Coast, and the mediumship was beginning to dwindle. And when I came back to the East, it sort of picked up again.
Why?
I got more involved with expos, and just the calls started coming in.
No. We're not going to look for worldly answers. They won't be accepted here. There is no world. Okay?
Okay.
Astrologically, because of your past life issues that I'm not going to spend a lot of time digging into right now. Whatever reason, you decided to come into this life, and whenever you talk to anybody or were with any kind of group of people, you transcended the down-to-earth level and you saw what was happening at a higher dynamic. I don't care if your Winnebago was in Virginia or Washington. Right. We don't care about where things were. We care about where you were.
Right.
And when Uranus came through and hit that point, you can just picture a Neptune point getting hit by Uranus. Do you think Neptune needs permission from Uranus to go wild and grow and be crazy? No. Neptune doesn't need any permission for anybody. I suggest to you what happened to you during that time is you went through a tremendous revolution in how you talk to people, more confidence.
Yes.
Saying to them, look, this is what we're going to talk about. This is the story. It's not your Winnebago here. It's not the right. Cincinnati. This is the story here. It's always a spiritual answer.
Also, it was the beginning of the end of anxiety issues.
It makes a lot of sense because the anxiety issues were probably directly related to them. I think that's really good. I think
the feeling of being untethered, ungrounded.
Yes,
was really
exactly.
making the anxiety ramp up. And
Well, sure, it's hard to be untethered. Yeah,
all of it came together
right.
between where I was physically, where I was emotionally, where I was mentally. It
All that
pretty much
matters
all
it was
came together.
all that matters it was going on inside.
Right.
Well, this is very good news.
But
This
you
is
know, a
very-
lot of times people have things going on inside and they manifest it in the way they create their reality in this
Yeah, but
world.
we don't care what other people do. We're talking about you. We're talking about a lifetime pattern that you altered.
Yeah.
This is a tremendous liberation that you put yourself through in 17. You should give it a lot of thought. Go back
Yep.
to 16, go to 17, go to 18. Think about what you did, but more importantly, think about what happened to you. But I think this is
Yeah.
tremendous, and we knew it would be because it's such a sensitive point.
Yes.
Yeah, getting hit by the wild man of the zodiac. Look at
Right.
look at her. She wants to play. Susan, thank you very much. I got to move on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was really good. Thank you. All right, let's get to Erica. We're going to do everybody no matter what. Look at Erica. Oh my goodness. I don't think we got anything to talk to Erica about her Neptune. I don't think there's any significance at all about Neptune in her chart. Boing! You know, you spin the wheel and that thing, that flapper goes flap, 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 flap. My God, it's the main planet in your chart. And you're a Taurus, and you got a lot of Leo, but you got powerful Neptune. So that means to me, I don't have the time to do a whole chart, but it means to me that the typical Taurus, their life is about being down to earth and being firmly placed, etc. It's not your chart. Your chart is by being based spiritually. Comments?
I believe very highly in the power of imagination. I think it's like the main thing that we have, our main superpower. And I always try to encourage other people to use it, but you know, you get mixed reviews from people on that, you
We
know,
can't talk
they
about what
tell you
other
you're
people.
crazy,
We
you're
can't
this,
talk
you're
about
that, you're not.
what other people do. We talk about what happens to you.
Yeah, but I'm a
I'm
Libra
not talking.
rising,
I'm
so
not
other
talking
people are
about you.
important to me.
I'm not talking about your imagination. What happens to you when you stop and give your life to God? That's not imagination.
Well, you know, I don't really call it God.
Okay, what do
I
you call
call it,
it?
you know,
What do you call it?
I call it, I don't know, I've called it different things at different times. The universe, the great
Okay,
spirit, the
okay.
power of creation,
Those are
whatever,
good.
you
Those are
know,
great. What
created us,
happens to
you
you
know.
when you stop and give up and surrender to it?
I stop worrying about everything.
And what?
If something is worrying me,
And the result is what?
that I can just let go and trust.
And
And that helps me through, you know, difficult times, or it helps me just get grounded. By not being grounded, you know what I mean? Being grounded
I
is
think you're
the
exactly right.
universal.
I
I'm
think
sorry?
I think you're exactly right. It's the answer to your chart. It's the answer to your chart. Your chart is based on that Neptune, much more than the Taurus. And your
I keep
chart is
telling everybody that love is the answer.
anytime there's a question, Anytime there's any question, you let go. That's what your chart says.
And it's hard in this world because this world is so full of
It is not easy.
war and people
Right.
not wanting to love and people having all kinds of reasons
Yes,
because they were
yeah.
hurt. So
Yes,
it's a hard thing to get together, my
yes, it's hard to get them to
idea
change.
and how do you create that in the world? But you can only create that for yourself
It's
or one
hard to
person at
get
a time.
it's hard to get them to change.
Or to understand
You
to begin with
You
sometimes.
understand it perfectly. The question is, are you going to surrender or not? Not whether they will. You know what happens when they do or don't. You know what happens when you do or don't. So your chart is here for you to surrender. Surrender means what? I'm going to stop listening to her because she can't guide me. I'm going to start listening to whatever you called it, the universe. I'm going to start listening to it because it guides me, did you not say, to success?
I wouldn't call it success,
Okay.
to peace.
Okay, so
And
peace,
just
peace is not
trusting.
success. Okay.
Yeah, because success is very materialistic.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Thank you, Rick.
That's the answer to your chart. You're welcome. Let's go to Marcia Bud. Marcia. Okay. Let's get your chart on the screen. I think we got John afterward, and that's it. Okay, Marcia, same chart as mine, and you and I have the Mars Neptune. Mine's at the same degree. Yours is almost 2 degrees apart. So your Mars Neptune is extremely important. What that means when Mars Neptune is that close, even though you don't have many aspects to it, you've only got a really minor sextile from Pluto to Neptune, and you do have a Mars Neptune 2-degree conjunction. What Mars Neptune means is that very effortlessly and almost unnoticeably, and I got to do Becky too. When you move, the universe moves with you. You are not allowed, it's a bad word. Within yourself, it's not possible for you to move as Marcia solely. And that's a gift. That's a gift from a lot of work. It's a curse because sometimes you just want to go, wow, and you're not allowed to because the Neptune's bugging you. But it's a beautiful combination. And people will say to you all of your life, they're going to give you Neptunian compliments. They're going to say to you, my, aren't you just so graceful? An effortlessness to you. I think that's true. And if you look at your Mars, even though it's in a weak position in Libra, when you look at your Mars is not really that Martian, just like mine, because it's very Neptunian, just like mine. That makes sense?
Yes. Yes.
Where does that come from? Comes from some past life where you evaluated what Martian energy really is, and you really weren't happy about true, pure Martian energy, and you wanted to apply a lot of Neptune to it. That makes sense? Do you think that kind of person might end up working on Broadway? Sure. Sure, it's the glamour. The Neptune is the glamour industry. Broadway is glamorous. It's also highly refined spiritual.
And
I
it's
like that. I like that about you. You've been able to be in the most worldly place there is, New York City, and not really become overly materialized. You've maintained your spiritual integrity, I think.
yeah, I don't feel bogged down from that whole scene at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, what question do you have about your Neptune?
I'm just wondering why it's so close to the Mars. There's only 2 degrees apart.
Yeah, mine's 0 degrees. The answer I have for you is coming into this lifetime, you analyzed yourself and judged yourself to be too Martian, which is too aggressive, too dynamic, too not jumping and not thinking, just too sharp mouthed, and you wanted to refine your energies. Where Neptune is in your chart is where you want to refine things. And I don't have to explain refinement to you because you've watched some of the most refined performers ever. What is refinement? Refinement is you're not even there.
Mhm.
You're the leaf blowing with the wind. That's real refinement.
Like the way you described Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, the way Hendrix played.
Yeah, Hendrix.
We played some of his blues, and oh my God, you just, I don't know where you are, brother.
I saw him twice.
Oh my God, and you saw the Beatles. I hate you. I hate you twice. Wow.
Thanks, Rick.
You are welcome. Hendrix twice and the Beatles twice. That's just
The
terrible.
Beatles once.
Oh, I thought you said twice.
Hendrix twice.
How was it?
First time, it was just like riding a cloud. Small theater, New Year's Eve. Yeah.
So many people think he was so rocky. He wasn't rocky, he was bluesy.
It was just
Ethereal.
He was just ethereal with his guitar and his singing, and the second time he collapsed. So he came out on stage right down. I think that was the beginning of the end of him.
27. Marcia,
Remember-
what a great story. And I think you know exactly now why the Neptune is with the Mars.
Yeah, right.
Because the Mars somebody says because your name starts with Mars.
No way.
Thank you, bud.
Thank
And
you.
we got Becky and patient John. I'm trying to get to everybody. Becky, hold on, please. Okay, let's get to Becky's chart. Miss Becky is a Pisces. Okay. We have a Pisces ruled by Neptune. We have Neptune down here by itself. We also have Saturn down here by itself. We have Neptune opposite Mars. Same story with you, Becky, as I just told Marcia. Same story. This time your Mars is in Taurus, and Neptune is saying, this is a 28 degrees. That's about 28. So this is almost, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Neptune is opposite Mars. I'm sorry. Mars in Taurus. Okay. Still, Mars is in Taurus. The Neptune is not particularly strong. It's pretty strong because it's part of the grand square here, but it's not like being right on the midheaven. Neptune on Mars, Neptune squaring Venus and Uranus and Jupiter. What these 3 planets are trying to do, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Venus, Chiron, these are big spiritual dynamic here. And Mars is trying to dynamically use it out in the world. And Neptune's there to just make sure that you keep the spiritual element on it. It's that simple.
Right.
I think that grand square is something you and I do need to talk about more. I don't remember us talking a lot about it, but that grand square is very demanding. And I think it's probably too demanding. It's just a feeling of, God, I never can do enough, or I can't do it right. I think that could be part of it. And I think that Neptune could have a lot to do with letting that go. What do you think?
Well, it's easier to let things go now that I'm not working, but I know that's not what you're asking.
No, I think it's a good answer. Thank
So-
God it's easier to let things go now.
I still tend to be the one pushing to get things done, though, just ordinary stuff. Like it's hard to take a day off from everything.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Who's objecting to that?
just me.
Hmm. Wonder what part of the chart is doing that. It's not the Sun in Pisces. It's not the Mars in Taurus. It's not the Gemini. You think it could be the Saturn in Scorpio opposite the moon? Partially.
It was just a bad habit.
I don't think it's not like having Saturn in Virgo. I think it's the Saturn opposite the moon, but I think you can do a lot to get around this. But the main story here is with your Neptune, it just keeps you on track spiritually
Okay.
very heavily. And I think it's really good. And it's your main planet. You need to go back through your life and see what happened when transits hit that Neptune.
Hmm.
Opposite, square. What happened when that Neptune got hit? Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to get to
Mhm.
John's the final one. Is that right? There's John. Okay. You with us, John? Thank you for being patient. Okay, look at this chart. Look at this chart. 5 planets in Gemini. Look at that Neptune down here. Opposite, unknown until recently, unknown Eris. Neptune's down here in the 3rd house. It is squaring all these planets. So these planets are going out in the world, joining clubs, joining organizations, working with your fellow man, communicating, trying to make organizations better and better and better and better. And Neptune keeps saying to you, no matter what, we're going to spiritualize it, put spiritual values insert them into whatever we're doing. Neptune at 27 of Virgo is really close to square the Jupiter and it's close to square the Mercury. Okay, so it's really close to squaring the Jupiter, Neptune. So with Neptune down there in the 3rd house, Neptune is really saying, I'm in control of the mind down here. And don't you forget it. And the Virgo is saying, okay. The Pluto is saying, oh, I'm not sure what you're talking about. And the Gemini planets are saying, yeah. They think they're in control, but they're not in control. These 2 planets are in control, the Pluto and the Neptune. So it's kind of like these powerful outer planets. They allow that Gemini to play. And you got to allow Geminis to play. You just got to, because that's what they do. But that Pluto and that Neptune only allow play for so long. The Pluto insists on you having a purposeful life, and then Neptune insists on running your brain. That's the poet. What do you think?
I think there's a real conflict there. I spend 24 hours hanging out with God, okay, but when I'm with people, I'm a jokester. I can't handle God, and I can't even let people know of the power that I have within me, so I play it down.
That's typical Gemini, play it down. All right.
Absolutely.
Usually, when you can't handle something, Gemini's usually, in other words, when the jokester comes out, it doesn't come out with God, it comes out with people.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, absolutely.
I understand why. I've spent a lot of energy studying that one. I understand that. And Geminis are wonderful at playing the jokester, etc. But you're telling me then when you're with God, it goes much smoother?
That's all I do. I'm very close to God. I've seen God, and almost understand God, but never could I do that. But
Yeah,
I
but you kind of got a feeling about it, right?
really have a good
Yeah.
communication.
Liza and I were talking about tonight. We don't know the answers, but we feel like people are getting closer to them, and we're starting to feel. Well, with Neptune, with you becoming more aware of what Neptune is in your chart, and it's centered in your mind, what does that tell you?
Well, where I really am is way beyond my mind. That where I go, there are no words, and there's no ideas.
What a perfect way to end the show.
I could be just keeping my mouth shut.
Wow. We understand the quiet.
Yeah. I love quiet.
Well, we love quiet too. And it sounds to me like you are manifesting the chart really well. I hope you all, we're going to shut it off for the evening. Thank you, John. I hope you all got some 3 weeks value out of talking about Neptune. And I think I'm going to change the subject next week. It is a tough one. Yeah, Anita, would you like me to look at your chart?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry I didn't see you on the screen. I'll go
That's
to you
okay.
because I there you are. Just didn't see you on the screen. But
That's fine.
I know your Neptune is extremely strong, so we want to go there. Okay. Neptune is extremely powerful, especially to a woman that just came from visiting the ocean. Neptune's right on the midheaven. T² to Neptune. She's already a sensitive Cancer. Thank God your moon is in Virgo. I don't need to tell you what Neptune's doing up at the top of your chart. It's calling you.
Mm-hmm.
What's it saying to you?
Well, it's so I feel like I've learned recently, and it was an aha moment. It wasn't an expectation. It didn't feel like a culmination, but I think I've really learned what it means to forgive. And I've struggled with that. With that term itself, I don't understand. I mean, in the past, I've struggled with understanding what it meant to forgive someone.
I think you've done really well with it. Marcia, I think you've been remarkably well with it, considering a lot of the things that have happened. I think you're very forgiving and very loving.
Well, I don't know. I feel like maybe some of the monkeys on my back are going away. They're just not there. They're there, but they're not there. It's not the weight. It's not my weight anymore.
Yeah, you've smart enough to let go of them. Sun Jupiter helps that. Sun
Okay.
Jupiter really helps you with that. I
Yeah.
think that's really marvelous. I think that's really, really good. And I do not think it's a coincidence that you've been drawn towards the ocean.
No, it is, it's an everyday experience in my mind for me. I keep going back there. And I just don't know. I've said it out loud, even to my kids, which, I think that was pretty courageous. But I'm going back because I think, I've always been looking for a place where people just really do live from a place of love. And I don't know, I guess everybody finds that somewhere, but I found that there. So, yeah. I know it's there. So whether physically I ever do end up back there, and I hope I do, I would love to be permanently there, but just knowing that there are people that intergenerationally still come strictly from a place of love first is such an inspiration to me right now.
Well, this show has kind of a life of its own, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Tonight. There's nothing to say to you because you're right on track. And I do think you should rethink this forgiveness. I know forgiveness is tough work, but I think you do pretty darn well with it. You've been through some tough issues. I think you do pretty darn well, and I hope you're not too hard on yourself. Well, everybody, thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
Since Deborah popped up, she may want me to look at her Neptune. I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. I got unexpected company tonight. My daughter and my grandson, who just turned 10. So,
That's okay. If you want me to, I'd be glad to.
okay, just quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been on everybody quickly. So
Okay.
we'll take a look. Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
I just
gotta
wanted to
do-
at least say
I gotta
hi.
do Rick too. I forgot about Rick.
Oh,
We'll just take our time and just do it. Here's Deborah. Forgive me, Rick. Okay, Deborah. Look at that Neptune, everybody. Look at that. Square to the moon. Hanging out in the early 12th house. Pluto's very strong Scorpio energy, strong Pisces energy. In the middle of Libra, it's a semi-strong planet, so the interest is there. But you're much more Pluto Uranian. Did you know that?
well, kind of. I mean, I always knew about Pluto, but I didn't know that much about Uranus. Yeah.
Uranus is very strong. You got a big bucket pattern, and the Chiron is opposite Uranus. That is that's the symbol of the astrologer. So your
Huh.
great astrological ability because of that. This Neptune sitting there is very simple. It's symbolic of being spiritually anchored and being a Taurus. That's the main word in your life, being anchored. And being anchored spiritually couldn't be a better option. Okay.
Good. Good. Great. Thank you.
You are welcome. Let's get to Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Final chart of the night is Rick's. Here's Rick's. The astrologer Rick. Okay. Rick, I'm sure you and I have talked about Neptune before.
Oh, yeah.
Neptune's a big deal being here near the angle, only 3 degrees away from square the ascendant, 4 degrees from squaring the sun. So with the sun and ascendant here and Neptune down here, this Neptune has a tremendous 4th house connotation. So that means that unlike most Leos, or unlike people with a strong Gemini flavor, you're really based. I mean, the bottom of the chart is how you're based. You're
Yes.
based in spiritual soil.
And dreams and visions and symbols and
And you're
yeah,
a minister and
right.
an astrologer. And I would imagine when your Neptune gets hit, it's a big deal.
And with that trine to Saturn Chiron, my spirituality is my own.
Yeah, and you're definitely really different than most Leo males, I think, because of that Neptune and other things. But I think the Neptune's really well placed. Now that it's 17 degrees Scorpio, you know what that means. What's been happening while Uranus has been at 17 up here, opposite Neptune? In the past year, what's been going on with Uranus opposing that Neptune?
I'm awakening to more of my depth. Spirit messages come a little easier. And I see signs from the universe a lot when I'm talking to people on the phone. Yeah. I take my calls outside of the house. I go to the back porch where I can see nature. And that's how spirit will come through animals and shadows in the leaves, images in the clouds, a bee on the clover. It's very symbolic.
Very Neptunian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody, thank you for the evening. Sorry I got to you so late. Anyhow, very good evening. Wrap up that Neptune party, you, everybody.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Have a great week,
That was
everyone.
lovely. Have a great week.
Thank you,
Blessings,
Claudia.
everyone.
We will get into some
Bless.
new good stuff next week. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Good night.